moves here in Johnstown. So I am excited to share our book review. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. Let's see, who watched the most of the black belt test? Or who got to see a lot of the action during the black belt test? Some of you guys were in the black belt test. Yeah, some of you guys were testing hard. What was your favorite part of the black belt test weekend? Who can share with us? Okay, Ethan, Jacob, share with us your favorite part of the black belt test weekend.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that my favorite part was watching all of the other students perform their creative form, and me and Jacob performed in my creative form. Like the creative form parts. You like that?
The creative form parts, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. That was definitely awesome. I saw the hopefully everybody saw the graduation. Those creative forms were awesome. How about for you, Mr. Franks? Jameson, what was your favorite part?
I think my favorite part was the college seminar, sir. I got to practice on my family, so that was fun.
I got to practice the self-defense moves on your family. Tuhan Laja is amazing. Now, remember, he's going to be coming out here this summer. He's going to be doing a special seminar for us. So we're going to be putting the details out here really soon for you guys to register for that, because it is going to be limited. Okay. Anybody else want to share? No? Okay. Well, we're going to get started with our Mat Chat and what to say when you talk to yourself. And just to get a quick recap of what we covered last week, as we get moving here, is we had some homework. I said, think about a mood that you find yourself in more right now than you would like to change. Maybe it's you're bored. Maybe it's that you're scared, anxious, angry, sad, confused. Some of you black belts might have had some of those feelings before the black belt test. And I said, I want you to write down 1 or 2 thoughts that you might have that surround this mood, prior to the mood. Okay? So what are some of those thoughts? It could be something like, there's nothing to do, I can't figure out a way, or I'm scared I'm going to fail the test, or something like that. Did anybody write down anything that they'd like us to share? Kasia, what was one for you?
What was that? Can you repeat?
So did you write down a mood that you find yourself in last week? Something like maybe
stressed.
Stressed out? Stressed out.
Because I had a lot of homework and the black belt test.
You had homework and a black belt test. So school finals and black belt test weekends make it a little bit stressful. Okay? What are some thoughts that might have surrounded that mood prior to the mood, or while you were in that mood? What were some thoughts that surrounded you? Things that you thought in your head?
I don't know. Like, I was just generally stressed out, I guess.
Okay. Did you find that after the weekend was over, or once you got on the weekend, that it was a little bit less stressful, that you started going? Okay. I talked about last week that sometimes, especially when we have a feeling of like anxiousness or scared, a lot of times once we start that process, or we get into the test, that's that trigger point. Like and I related it to like when you go to an amusement park. And I said, if you've ever been on a roller coaster before, when you're going up that roller coaster or that ride, you're kind of nervous, you're anxious, right? There's a lot to be kind of worried about. But then once you get going and that you go down that first hill, you go, you know what, that wasn't so bad. The next hill is going to be easier because it's last, and you get that momentum going, okay? So that was one of the things we wanted to talk about last week. So this week, we're talking about, we learn to believe. So what adults tell us and what we learn to perceive about ourselves as children is incredibly important, and it affects us in a lot of different ways. It informs what we informs what we believe about most everything that is going on around us and almost anything that we come to believe about ourselves. So these beliefs are really important. And a lot of that is just things that we say or our parents say to us, okay? So I want you to think about something like that. Now, in the book, Dr. Helmstetter shares a childhood experience where he tried out for a band. And after he was dismissed, he overheard the teacher saying to another that he had no musical ability, okay, and that he would never play an instrument. Has anybody ever had an adult, overheard an adult say something like that? Like they're never gonna make it, or they're something maybe negative? If you can relate, raise your hand. Okay. Some of you might say, well, they're never gonna be an artist, or they're never gonna do this because of that. Those are beliefs that are external. Somebody's saying that to us, okay? Now, in your lifetime, you hear a lot of no's and negative things, in fact, hundreds of thousands of times. And what we have to be really good about is believing that we can change that, what we believe in ourselves, okay? And so, so 24 years later, after realizing that he was misprogrammed, he reprogrammed his mind and went on to learn how to play the piano, and he was able to play it very well, okay? But it took 24 years because that seed was planted in his brain. Just something as simple as a teacher saying that they're never going to learn how to play a musical instrument, okay? Now, does anybody have an experience that they'd like to share? Maybe something somebody's told you that was negative that maybe stuck with you? Maybe adults, maybe is there something that stuck with you in that? Nobody wants to share? Quillen Fabe, why don't you share, Mr. Beck?
Sir, one thing that I was told a lot when I was young was girls can't do push-ups and pull-ups. And I've had to reprogram myself on that. And I'm finding that they can.
Absolutely. I'm sure you're figuring that out, especially in your classes, right? That you're required. We don't require women to do less push-ups or more push-ups or vice versa. You're very capable in that. So that was a misbelief that somebody had maybe told you that, you know, girls can't do that. And so a lot of times what happens when we are told you're not able to or you're not going to be able to, we do like Dr. Helmstetter, and we try to prove them wrong, right? We go, you know what? That's not right. I'm going to have to prove them right, okay? But that's not always the way to go about it. We first have to start by changing that belief, and that's the first part. Is we have to believe that we can change, okay? So that's what he's saying in this chapter. Is we really need to believe truly that we can change anything that's been misprogrammed. That's the whole idea of this chapter, is that sometimes we have this misprogramming, and it could be from a teacher, it could be from the media, it could be just from things you hear on TV, okay? And we can change that. Does everybody believe that with the right training and use of this book and some things that we can change how we believe? That's the first step, is you have to believe. Otherwise, well, none of this is going to work. All the stuff that we're learning in the chapters coming up here is not going to work unless we really truly believe that we can make those changes. Okay, so good. I thought I saw another hand. Where did it go? Anybody else want to share? No? Okay, it popped off the screen. So next part is there's three big ideas here. There's what's called unconscious conditioning from others. So that is, some of the programming is obvious, but most of it isn't. Most of it has been much more subtle. Every day we receive an endless stream of commands, directives, controls, and expectations from others. Everything around us nudges us or demands or persuades us, okay? So even as adults, we are met with a torrent of influences, things that are nudging us to act or believe a certain way, okay? And we are not even aware of most of them. So think about what you could be doing beginning tomorrow if the shackles of bad habits or conditioning or self-doubt. Does anybody have any self-doubt that they'd like to share, that maybe I'm not good enough for this, or I don't believe that I can do that? There in Johnstown, who is that? I can't see you with your mask on. Why don't you jump up and share? What's a self-doubt that you have? Johnstown, that's calling you, Mr. somebody out there.
Mr. Preston.
Oh, that's Preston. Hey, Preston, why don't you share? What's your self-doubt?
I started wrestling and I wasn't good at it.
Okay, what made you think that you weren't good at it? Did people tell you that you weren't good at it? Or you just believed it because you weren't maybe scoring or doing as well as some of the other kids?
My parents told me that.
What was that?
My parents told me.
Oh, so you heard it from your friends, okay? So you had some self-doubt because your friends said, well, you're not good at it, okay? But do you believe that if you practice hard enough, do you believe that if you believed in yourself and you said, I can do this, I can get better at it, do you think you could actually be good at wrestling?
Yes, sir.
Good. That's part of that belief, okay? Wes, what's the self-doubt that you have?
Well,
I think he's talking to somebody else. Or were you talking to Mr. Wyatt, sir?
Oh, sorry, no, was Wyatt also raising his hand?
I don't believe so. No, sir.
No, okay, never mind. Thank you, sir. Mr. West in Longmont. Maybe he's not having troubles unmuting. Okay, Jameson, what's some self-doubt do you have?
Well, sir, I don't currently have self-doubts, but one self-doubt in the past was earning my black belt. After prep cycle, my will to do it and my determination that I can do this, it dwindled a lot from going through that experience. And another one was being able to play the piano. I used in my piano studio, we have little rehearsals where everybody shows what they're working on, and it's some super advanced students played super amazing songs, and I was like, wow, I'm never gonna be able to do that. And that was one self-doubt I had, sir.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Wes, what's the self-doubt that you've had?
A self-doubt that I have is when I told myself this. I told myself I'm never gonna get good at math, and I'm never gonna do this. But I worked really, really hard.
So you overcame that. Very good. And that's part of the black belt process. Like Mr. Franks was saying, is that once you reach black belt, that test is so hard and you overcome so many things. It builds confidence in other areas. And that's why we say ripple effect, because it kind of goes into other areas in your life. You go, you know what? If I can earn my black belt and go through a tough weekend, well, you know what? I could learn how to play the piano, or I could do this if I set my mind to it. And that's really what it is believing in yourself. So that you have to believe that you can change any of those doubts or habits or anything that was misprogrammed. That's really what we're talking about, is that misprogramming that we might have. We all have had misprogramming, okay? For me, I was programmed that I wasn't able to really sing. I didn't have a strong enough voice to be able to sing. And everybody said, you're really bad at singing. And I really built this I'm never gonna do that, okay? And I set out last year to take singing lessons because I wanted to change that belief. I said, well, you know what? If other people can do it, I can do it too, okay? And that's one of those things that you can change, all right? Anybody else? I saw somebody in Longmont raising their hand that went down. Longmont student, go ahead and share. Who was that?
My self-doubt was that I thought I would never do school.
One more time, a little louder just so we can hear you.
My self-doubt is that I thought I was never good in school.
Never good in school? Okay, how are your grades now? Are you doing well in school?
They don't give me a report.
Okay, but are you doing better in school? Do you feel more confident that you're able to be a good student? Good, okay, and that's part of that belief. All right, anybody else want to share before we go on? No? Okay, so remember, a lot of the programming can come from unconscious. What does unconscious mean? That means that you don't really think about it. It's just happening in the background, okay? Sometimes it's from other people, sometimes it's from TV shows, sometimes it's just us comparing ourselves against other people, maybe on TV or in a movie or on a magazine or on Facebook or something like that. Sometimes we have that misprogramming, okay? And so we're gonna learn how to change that. Now, the second thing is you have your personal onboard computer. That we talked about last week. Mr. Wagner brought that up in the Matt chat. We talked about the different pieces of our brain and how it works like a supercomputer, okay? The big thing is we have a set of bad programs that's in our brain, and we can change those, okay? And that you just need to believe that you can change it, and that's what the rest of this book is going to be about. It's going to be about we believe that we can change it, and then the next step is here's some steps to change it, okay? But again, this week is all about believing that I can change those things, okay? Do you want to live with any bad programs? Does anybody in here want to live with bad programs and things? When I say programs, that's things like people telling you you're not good enough, or you're not able to do push-ups as a woman. Okay? Does anybody want to live with those bad programs? No, everybody says, no, I don't want to live with those. I want to change that. Okay? So you want to go through the rest of your life with being in charge of your programs. You can make your own programs. You can change what was set in the past. Okay? And that's the new set of directions. So we're going to recognize that we can make a change in our lives by making a change in our programming. If we change the programming, the things we say to ourselves and the things that we allow our brains to listen to, and you can change that. So in the book, he talks about this wall of 148,000 negatives, doubts, and destructive beliefs. That's a big number, 148,000. In your lifetime, you hear that negative talk about 148,000 times by the time you're an adult. So the first part of your childhood, you hear that. And so all that negative thinking and thoughts and all that stuff that's thrown at us, it can have a big impact on our success. And again, what we're trying to do is break through this wall of negative beliefs, and on the other side, see that there is success. We can achieve anything we want in life if we believe, and if we believe that we can change that program. Okay? And in the next set of chapters, we're going to start learning how to change those beliefs. Okay? Does anybody have a belief that they really want to fix in this book by the time they finish this book? Is there a belief, maybe a negative belief or something that you think you can be better at if I just were to practice this stuff in this book? Is there anything that you want to change? Does anybody have any habits that they want to change? Maybe some of you have a bad habit of biting your nails. Maybe some of you have a bad habit of staying up too late and playing video games, or habit of being on your screen too much. I'm seeing some hands, good, okay? So that's a belief system that we have to start with, that we know we can change, okay? So what about in your martial arts training? Has there ever been a time where you have had a belief that you're not able to do something? Who believes that they're capable of getting in the full splits? Now, I'll guarantee you, almost everybody on this call has the potential, meaning that your physical body, with enough training and enough practice, could be in the full splits. Okay? Does anybody know who my instructor is? Grandmaster Oliver is my instructor. I'll tell you a story. When he was a kid, when he was in early teens, he had braces on both legs. He had braces on both legs. And the doctors even said, you're probably going to have a hard time walking for the rest of your life. You're probably going to have a hard time being able to do anything, let alone being in martial arts. They said, no way. There's probably not a chance that you can be in martial arts. Okay. Now, if you've ever seen Grandmaster Oliver kick, he kicks straight up in the air right now, and he can even still to this day, I've seen him do it here in the last couple of years, he can still pop down and do the full splits. So he went from that process of being not able, or people saying, you're never going to be able to kick above your head, you're going to have a hard time walking or running, and he became an amazing martial artist. Somebody who I always idolized as being one of the best martial artists because he could kick straight up in the air. And he did that because he changed his belief pattern. He changed what other people had programmed it with. Okay, he had doctors telling him things. He had parents. His parents even were saying, "You should take it easy. We shouldn't do this, or you're not going to be able to do that." and he changed that belief because he knew he was capable of more. Okay. Now, if he would have accepted what other people said to him, like the doctors, would he have ever been a master instructor, grandmaster instructor? No. So again, changing those beliefs is very important. Okay. Does anybody have anything else they want to share about the book? Okay. Emerson, you want to share?
She said no, sir.
No. Okay. I thought I raised her hand.
She didn't mean to raise her hand.
Okay. How about for you, bud? You want to share?
Yeah, sure. My name is Oliver too.
I know, Oliver. Hey, Oliver. So what would you like to share, buddy?
I really like how you said about his success and stuff. I really like how you said how he grew up and then he never gave up. I really like that.
Okay, good. Never giving up. And don't believe what other people tell you. That's a big thing, is that we don't want to ever believe negative thoughts that people say about us. Okay? It's in our power to let that stuff into our brain. And if we let it in, it can change our own beliefs. And we don't want to do that. So that's the first step, is being really cautious and aware. But guess what? If you have heard things and you believe things that other people have told you, you have to believe that you can change it. And that's what this chapter is all about, is you have to believe. Does everybody believe that you can change thoughts that other people might have told you that or might be still sticking in your head of, well, I'm not good at this because they said I would, or I'm never going to be able to do push-ups right because I was told when I was a kid that women can't do push-ups, or maybe it's something else. Okay, you can and you should believe that. Okay, so good. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, that concludes our Mat Chat for this week. Remember, we have a lot of fun stuff coming on. We have testing week coming up, and we want to make sure everybody's ready and practicing, and that means also practicing visualizing in your head the successful outcomes of activities. Okay, so practice, practice, practice. Make sure everybody is testing and getting your new belts this week. And on that note, I will sign off unless anybody else has anything to share. Raise your hand like a crazy person if you want to share anything. No? Okay. Well, instructors in the schools, you still have about 5 minutes. You can do a fun activity, maybe a game, a leadership game with the students before they're out of there. And everybody else, have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll see you guys soon on the next Mat Chat.